Welcome to the program. Although today's topic is rather sobering because it's about an exhibition that was to do with a massacre, the end product, the outcome of all this is rather positive. So I'll explain a little bit why this video that you're going to see from way back in 1996 is so important for today. On the 28th of April 1996 there was the Port Arthur massacre, which was the biggest mass massacre in Australia by an individual. Now, I don't want to go into too much of the detail of that, but that massacre had a profound impact on Australia, and it had a profound impact on lots of people around Australia. And straight after that, in response to that, a lot of people around the nation produced songs, produced writings, poetry, prose, whatever, and paintings. So I decided, and I responded in the same way. I did some paintings as soon as I heard this. I did some paintings myself as a bit of a cathartic experience. And I'll just read to you a few paragraphs of what I wrote for an exhibition that I curated in September and October of that year. And the exhibition was really a collaboration between myself and a whole lot of people around the country who created works in response to this terrible massacre. And this is what I wrote. I won't read too much. The 28th of April, which was the name of the exhibition, has its genesis in the need by a scattered group of individuals to come to terms with a social calamity combined with a deep sense of personal loss and a need to be self-reconciled. The individual's journey of bereavement have had many manifestations. The questioning has been echoed throughout the nation. The questioning of life and death, of good and evil, has allowed bonds to develop which under normal circumstances would never have taken place. This bond, which allows us to share the most intimate sides of our emotional and spiritual self, comes in the form of writing and painting. Here we see human expression as it once was, as it should be, basic and natural. For this is an expression born by the need to communicate, the desire for insight. It is not a word or pigment concocted for praise or profit. Now, I go on to write quite a bit more in this catalogue. Prior to me deciding to have this exhibition, I was counselled by a friend of mine who runs a very big gallery, and he said, "Wayne, whatever you do, don't have that exhibition because people will really go for you. You know, they'll be really angry, they'll crucify you." And fortunately for me, I disregarded his advice because I thought, if I come at this and have an exhibition that's about the people and focus in on their reactions, well then I'm prepared to cop whatever flack comes my way. And as it was, there was no flack whatsoever, none. And this exhibition was in the media in Australia and overseas. Now, why I'm showing a video that was shot by my son at that time, and he was only 8, so David photographed this, so it's not, as you can imagine, at age 8 it's not going to be a great production, and the sound's not good, and it's shot on an old VHS camera, but it does document some very important words by a number of people. So there's a couple of speakers, and there's also some musicians. Now, there are only a few examples of work from that exhibition, but the point is this: why I really wanted to put this up on the internet is for this reason. Just recently there's been a number of very big mass shootings in the United States, and in particular there's been some shooting of police in response to police brutality, and so then a lot of people have been reacting to their personal calamities and community calamities in quite a negative way of going back and shooting the police. So why this exhibition is important, even though it was way back in 1996, is because it allowed people to come together under some very grim circumstances to share their feelings. Now, I spoke to people whose family members were shot there, and I spoke to people who had to tend the injured and the dying, doctors and nurses and so on, and some of these people contributed to the exhibition, as well as other emergency service personnel. my point is that instead of reacting in a very negative way, these people who were touched by this terrible disaster decided to come together to create things and in a way not get praise, but just to know that there are other people around them who felt the same way, a very deep sense of loss. But by getting together and saying this is how we all feel, it was very much a cathartic experience, both for me and the individuals that I spoke to. So the reason I'm putting this up on the internet is to suggest to other people, whether you're in the United States or wherever you are around the world and there's some terrible things happening, there are some positive things that you can do to make yourself feel better. And so an exhibition might be one way. And if you're thinking of curating an exhibition, gathering people together and doing something like this, I urge you to do that because you will not cop any personal flack. You'll find that it is a very uplifting experience in the end. And so I thank you for watching this video, and I hope that it can bring you some encouragement.
I'd like to say a few words, mainly to explain how this whole exhibition came about. The massacre at Port Arthur on the 28th of April deeply shocked and saddened the entire country and many other parts of the world. And those reactions of shock, disbelief, grief, anger, sadness, but also hope, were expressed in many different ways. I certainly witnessed something amazing in Wayne. After he had spent some time quietly trying to come to terms with what had happened at Port Arthur, he suddenly, as a therapy, churned out one painting after another. In 15 years, I hadn't seen him that spontaneous in his artwork. All his mental images surrounding the tragedy appeared on paper, board and canvas, bold and honest. His emotions were pouring out of his paintbrush: anger, disbelief, grief, but also appreciation of the many people that had helped in so many ways, and finally, hope for a peaceful future. You may notice all the different styles Wayne painted and drew in, a powerful expression of his inner turmoil. These images are very personal. They were never meant to be in a public exhibition. To me, they are true art because they come from within. Some are not even finished, for reasons stated in the catalogue. The artwork was never planned to be sold, and of course it won't be sold. Some pieces will be donated to the Port Arthur Historic Site, some to the Royal Hobart Hospital, some will simply be burnt. I felt that people should be able to see Wayne's artwork. Everyone thought about the tragedy anyway, and rather than pretending it didn't happen, it is better to deal with it. However, we were still concerned whether people could cope with such an exhibition. Therefore, I went to Port Arthur and spoke to a number of people, showing photographs of Wayne's artwork. The responses were mostly positive. We also spoke to Father Morgan Bett, the parish priest of Richmond, who was deeply involved with the aftermath of the tragedy and who supported the idea of an exhibition. As we discussed the prospect of an exhibition with Father Kevin, he showed us a poem that he had written as soon as he had learned about the massacre. At Mass that night, instead of giving a sermon, he simply read out the poem. It is on display just up there. Father Kevin then had the idea of an anthology. Surely, he thought, more people would have expressed themselves in writing, poetry, art, or music. So Wayne took on the task, and the media were very helpful. Letters with poems flooded in every day. Wayne has never received so much mail in his whole life. People sent him tapes with music spontaneously composed, and 2 paintings were brought here from Hobart to Kingston. And this is the result. Like Wine's paintings, all his works are immediate personal responses to the massacre, and I would like to thank all the contributors for sending in their very personal responses and exhibiting in public, and we will hope that there will be a published anthology hopefully next year. We are now gathered here to share once more the grief, but also to share the wonderful creativity of so many people. As it is mentioned in some of the poems, life goes on, and while we will never forget the terrible tragedy, we are also aware of some of the positive changes it has brought about. Stricter gun laws, people valuing the gift of life more instead of being petty, a stronger community bond, the development of new relationships, such as this experience here, and you probably know other examples. Now may I introduce Father Kevin Connolly to give the opening speech. Thank you.
Dear sisters and brothers, I deem it a great honour that I have been asked to open this anthology of painting, drawing, song, music and writing called the 28th of April. This name recalling a new part of our Australian history when in the here and now we've been touched by an evil that we've only read about, imagined or thought we were innocent of. We have been reminded that Port Arthur, the fun part, never existed. That from its beginnings it had been a place of suffering and a cause of suffering. Let us not forget the sufferings too of the native Tasmanian Aboriginal people. Today we haven't come along here to see beauty. We've come along to see, in Wayne's words, some immediate responses to the massacre at Port Arthur. The images that you will see today are not lovely. The music you hear today is not nice. The words you read here today are not perfect prose. But all these things are immediate responses to something that happened among us and reminded Australia that we are the lucky country. If you've come along to see a lovely Saturday afternoon art exhibition, perhaps you should go home now. What you will see and hear and read will call for a lot of compassion from you. It will drag out different responses: anger, sadness, disgust, fear, but hopefully compassion and a longing for a better world also. The religious rites have taken place. The government has remembered. People have been buried and families are suffering. The wounded have been tended to, some will never heal. Our past has been recalled. Fear has touched us all. The doves have all disappeared and the candles put out. A trial for one person has begun, which will become a trial for many people. A memorial is being designed and the media has had its speed. Now it's time for the artists, the musicians, the poets to have their say. That is why we are here today. Time has needed to pass before we could do this. We've needed to be anaesthetised a little bit. We nevertheless have to hope that in the long term, that what we've gone through, evil will never overcome good. But in the short term, we are in confusion and suffering. The hope that I have from the 28th of April is summed up in the words of Pablo Casals. When will we teach our children what they are? we should say to each of them, do you not know what you are? You are a marvel. You are unique. In all the world there is no other child exactly like you. In the millions of years that have passed, there has never been another child like you. And look at your body, what a wonder it is. Your legs, your arms, your cunning fingers, the way you move. You may become a Shakespeare, a Michelangelo, a Beethoven. You have the capacity for anything. Yes, you are a marvel. And when you grow up, can you then harm another who is, like you, a marvel? And in these words from Meister Eckhart, German mystic, remember this, all suffering comes to an end, and whatever you suffer authentically, God has suffered from it first. It is my honour to open up the treasury of people's secret thoughts for you to taste. I now declare this anthology, the 28th of April, of immediate personal responses to the Port Arthur massacre, open.
Thank you very much, Father Kevin. I'd just like to explain one final thing before you go around and look for works. When you go through the catalogue, you'll notice that there are big sections taken out, and at the last minute there's also been some work removed. And this is because at the 11th hour last night we got some more legal advice saying that we might jeopardise the trial. So that's the last thing we all want. So I apologise to those people whose works have been censored, and I hope that you understand. I haven't met all the contributors, and maybe there's someone standing next to you, so in the course of the day it would be marvellous if you could ask them whether they are a contributor and talk with them. This is a group exhibition, so please use the afternoon for fellowship. Thanks very much. In a few moments we'll have some music by a song called Still Asking Why, which was going to be performed by Morris Hardy and Alice Vernon from England. Then after they've played, we're going to go to another function. I'd like to put on two more songs that were composed and professionally recorded on the tape a little bit later on. So thank you for your attention when we do that. So in a few minutes, are you ready now, Morris?
Peace has returned. I want to try that again. Why not? Never good, you're not.